Okay, so there's been a lot of talk about Rory recently, especially after his win at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, about how he's hitting it so far and how he's using the ground in order to do so. And a lot of people might not really know what this means or how he's able to do it. So before you go try it on the range, I wanted to point out some things that he does so that he can use the ground in order to hit it so far. So I have a face-on view on the right, a down-the-line view on the left. Okay, so first thing you're going to see, which is really important, is how wide he stays off the golf ball. Okay, so what this allows him to do is get a lot of width and depth at the top. So you can see how high his hands are, and you can see how far they are away from the golf ball. So this is going to help him with a few different things that I'll get to in a second. So how he's able to achieve this, as you can see, his right leg has started to extend or straighten. You can see a little bit of space in between his legs. So this is important for a lot of mid to high handicappers that don't have a lot of flexibility, because if they don't let that right leg extend or straighten a little bit, your hands will start working straight up, and this is when you're going to have to start tilting back or stand up in your transition. So now that he has a lot of depth to his hands, to the ball, he is able to now squat down and rotate as he's doing so. Okay, so you can see now, since he had a lot of depth at the top, his hands are still inside. They haven't been thrown out too far. So if you have a lot of depth, if you don't have a lot of depth at the top, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to rotate. So you don't, the hands will be thrown out too far, kind of in this realm right here, and that's when you're going to have to start tilting and stop rotating. Another thing you're going to notice is how shallow that shaft is, bisecting his bicep right there. So this is a pretty good checkpoint for most golfers. His hips and knees are back to square. His hands are kind of trailing behind him with a shaft that's very shallow, and the face is pretty square. Okay, so if we keep working down, this is where it gets pretty interesting with Rory and how he's 5'7" and able to carry the ball 350, 340 off the tee. You're going to see his club head is inside his hands, and on the face-on view, the club is actually lower than his hands. So why this is important and how he's going to start using the ground is, in order for him to get this ball to make contact, get this club to make contact, is he's going to have to start pushing up. What you're going to see right there. So if he weren't start to work up, he would probably hit a foot and a half behind the golf ball. But he squatted down so low, club head is behind him and low, that he's able now to just start pushing up from here. So another thing, which is what you're going to see with a lot of long drivers of the golf ball, Rory in particular, Dustin Johnson even, is I drew a line on his left heel. And this is something that you can look for when you film yourself face on with the driver, is that his left hip and left shoulder will never go past that line. This allows him to hit up on the golf ball rather than down, and this is probably one of the most important parts to hitting it a lot further. Is a lot of people are really steep on the golf ball, which you'll see a lot of mid to high handicappers start teeing up pretty low in order to make contact. So 2 drills I think that are pretty helpful would be, one, almost teeing up the ball really high, and that kind of forces you to hit up on it, which can be kind of scary for most players. But the higher you tee up that ball, you're almost going to train yourself to start hitting up on it. Another drill that I've kind of find helpful would be just to set up to the ball with a driver. Try to get the club head. Just do a little backswing and place this club head behind your hands and low. And just try to hit little shots with it, just little chip shots with the driver. And you'll almost train yourself, and you'll see that you're going to have to rotate and start pushing up off the ground in order to make contact with the ball. So those 2 things are pretty important to look at. Rory's 100% a fantastic athlete, so it is a lot more difficult for average golfers to try to achieve this. But if you can kind of stay within this realm of what Rory does, you're going to have a pretty good swing and pick up a lot of distance.